Welcome back, everybody. Let's go ahead and get started. It's not quite 9 o'clock yet, but I'm already ready. So, appreciate y'all being here on the rainy day or rain check stream. Tim, Red, Pete, Neil, what's going on? I'll hang with you guys while I finish editing these client photos. Hope everyone is well. Thanks for hanging in here, Neil. Not going to be here the whole time. You got to work. I feel it. Yeah, I had to basically catch up on work last night and record a video that needs basically had a deadline. So, uh, yeah, glad I was able to make it up this evening. I've got a zine from which calling this a zine is tough because this is it feels like a really high-end magazine in terms of the printing, but this is a dense book here. So this is 72 by my good friend Ryan Loco. So I'm excited to share this with you guys here this evening. I took a quick flip through, not a full proper sit down with it. I wanted to save that for the live stream, so we're going to be digging into that here in just a minute. Jorge, what's going on? There it is. Okay. So, I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, wait for 9 o'clock in case people are still filtering in. Looks like it. Edgar, what's going on? Bamron, appreciate you guys hanging in. We're going to be taking a look at Ryan Loco's 72 here in just a bit. And the Coke Zeros are pouring, so settle in. We're getting wild out here tonight. I also wanted to see if you guys would be interested in basically making prints in real time here with the Epson P900. I thought that might be fun in case anybody wanted to see the print time in real time or just seeing how the printer handles things. I'm going to be working on sort of a full year review of the Epson P900. So been using it a lot lately, and I want to try and, I guess, answer as many questions as I can if people are interested in that specific printer. So let me know. Kai, Remo, Charles. What's up, Charles? Let me know if you got your books back, Charles. I think you should have gotten an email with the tracking. That just reminded me, seeing you in here. Appreciate you stopping in on the Thursday stream. Let me know if you get those books back and, have any issues or anything. Appreciate you again for sending those in. Jorge, I have a P800. I would love to see how that one performs. So you might have to let me know if you know of anything. I haven't looked into that yet to see what the specific differences are. This is my first Epson printer. I've only otherwise used their scanners. So I don't know what the difference is in the jump from the P800 to the 900. So if you do know, let me know, and maybe we can try to answer that. Hell yeah, Pete. Appreciate it. I totally get it. Jim, thanks for stopping in. Seems like a lot of the usual crowd is able to make it on a Thursday night, so that's good to know. I don't know. Wednesday nights, I guess right now, Wednesday nights are still preferred. I just got home like 45 minutes ago. Elliot has football practice twice a week, so for 2 hours, and it ends at 8 o'clock. So we're in that season already. So Wednesdays are still still good for now, I think, but um, never know. Let's jump into this. It's officially 9:01, so let's get started. So this is 72. This is by my friend Ryan Loco, and it was sort of I guess designed and distributed through Brainbuster, Michael Watson. Um, Both of these guys are good friends and have been for a long time, especially Michael. I've been friends with him for probably a decade, I would say, at least at this point. It's wild. He just sent me a photo a few days ago of me and Elliot last time he stopped through Chillicothe, and Elliot was Forest age. He was like 3 in that photo. So, but Mike and Ryan are both pro wrestling photographers. They photograph other things as well, music, and you'll see just everything. However, they're photographers specifically for All Elite Wrestling. So that's what they primarily do, I guess. But again, they shoot a lot of different things. This wasn't for All Elite Wrestling. This was for, well, I don't, I don't know if it was specifically for Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, or if it was just Ryan's sort of personal project documenting it. But it's 72 hours in Japan, photographing Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, which is this sort of like different breed between pro wrestling and mixed martial arts, I guess, if that makes sense. I'm going to read this introduction here. This is by John Moxley, pro wrestler for All Elite Wrestling, also fellow Ohioan. Stumpy, thanks for stopping in from Yellow Springs. I've never been to Yellow Springs, but I have been making, I guess, a goal. I've made it a goal to go and visit Yellow Springs. What's up, Peter? Thanks for stopping by. All right, this says, wrestling in Japan is very special. There's a different energy and a different atmosphere. The spirit of wrestling in Japan is different. It's not just entertainment. There's something about the warrior's journey that the people love to watch. Fans in Japan really could care less if you win or lose, as long as you truly went out there and put your heart and soul into competing, into the performance. The fighting spirit that they talk about in Japanese pro wrestling, it's a real thing. It's not just some spot or some made-up thing. It's about a connection between the wrestler and the audience, and the wrestler reaching down and finding something in himself that he might not have known that he had. Putting that on display, putting yourself in harm's way, and making yourself vulnerable to danger. Japanese wrestling at its best exemplifies that. So, I don't know if anyone here is a pro wrestling fan or ever has been. Benji, thanks for stopping in. Enjoy the replay. The photos here, if I feel like if you have any sort of background in just knowing anything about pro wrestling or following it at all, I think that would definitely help just give you some context. But even without the context, Ryan is just so good at what he does, and you'll see like so well-rounded, everything from portraits to, action, sports photography, street photography, landscape stuff. Just it's great. Hey Rob, good to see you. Yeah, love the super wide shots. I don't know. I can't tell. He mentioned in one of the videos on Instagram, kind of talking about it. He mentioned that he used a mix of film and digital for this whole project. But yeah, 72 hours kind of documenting this event. So everything there was like kind of leading up to, and now this looks like where it's actually getting into people in the seats, and yeah. Jim says, having been to Japan, I know their sumo wrestlers are big celebrities. Absolutely, yeah. The whole sumo culture and pro wrestling culture in Japan is like this feels like such a throwback photo. This looks like this could have been shot, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. So good. Hey, Raph, good to see you. We are taking a look at 72 by Ryan Loco. He's got 72 hours worth of photos, essentially, in Japan, documenting a pro wrestling event. Yeah, if you go to Ryan's Instagram at Ryan Loco, you'll see he just has such a wide range of ability with the camera, and it's always so inspiring. I love this too. Like, not just having blank, clean white pages or clean black pages, mixing in, some of the atmosphere there with photos he took around Tokyo. That's awesome. Damn. That's awesome. Love that transition from this. That was great. Hey, Raphael, you made it to the Thursday stream. That's such a good photo of Timothy Thatcher. Hell yeah. Minoru Suzuki. Got to see him wrestle in Cincinnati a few years ago. Oops. I was going to say, I thought I lost one. Yeah, that's killer. Be safe, Spider. From what I would imagine, you're probably going to be crawling for a while, so enjoy. Thanks for stopping in. That's such a good photo right there. Damn. Yeah, I'll let me see. I'll try and find Mike who from Brainbuster who designed and kind of published this in a way. Um, he has stickers made with a lot of his work, and he's got stickers made with Minoru Suzuki's portrait on it. I'm trying to think if I have any left. All right, I just looked. I don't see any. If I come across one, Raph, uh, I'll let you know. I'll send you one because I know I have one on my bike. Charles, on slash off topic. What's your take on film versus digital when it comes to shooting projects for print, whether it is gallery or book? Does it matter much? No, not at all. I mean, all of the photos I took at the paper mill were all digital, and all of my zines and books up until this point have all been filmed, but that wasn't like necessarily by design. This is such an amazing combo. These two photos, that's so good. Thatcher with that face, and he's the one taking a pile driver. That rules. Yeah. Suzuki's face and pointing down at him. That's such a good photo. That's amazing. Um, but no, Charles, to your point, or to your question, I don't have any issues or feelings about that one way or the other. Like for instance, this all of this work was made with a mix of film and digital. There's a mix of color and black and white. Um, I fully I understand not everyone will feel that way because some people. I mean, I don't know. It's a personal preference thing. I think when it comes down to what each person would do personally. But for me, I don't have any issue with that. Yeah, yeah, good call, Raf. That's a very good point. Moxley, yeah, there. I know of photos already that I'm gonna need to be cautious of. Let's see here. YouTube is weird, so I'm gonna like peek before I turn each page, and because yeah, Moxley, uh, yeah, good call on that. If you see John Moxley getting in the ring, there's a good chance he's gonna be bleeding. And this match, they turned some of the photos into like stickers and even merch, like shirts, with photos of. Actually, speaking of, here's a sticker that they made with one of the photos, if that gives you any idea. That's so sick. Raph, if you remember the photo of Moxley flipping off the camera while pinning Punk a few years ago, I have that shirt. It's rad seeing a sequence of a move like that in a book form. Man, the detail on that. Can't be much longer before before we see some color here. And yep, there it is. Okay. I mean, I'm gonna flip quickly through the next sequence here because YouTube is weird. So if you don't like blood, just sit tight, and I'll let you know when it's all over. Here we go. Oh my god. Jesus. All right, that photo on the bottom there. Spider, me casually looking over. Neil, blood doesn't bother me, but that's ridiculous. That is the most accurate response to Jon Moxley I think anybody could ever have. It's not done yet, everybody. We're almost through it. Okay, bandaged up. And hey, we're back. We're good as new. Holy shit. Yeah, it's you're all safe to look back now. I feel like I just subjected you all to a lot. To me, it's like, and yeah, that's pro wrestling. That's we got one more. He snuck one in there. Back here, I'm gonna cover it up. All photographs taken by Ryan Loco over a 72-hour time period in Tokyo, Japan, between June 20th and June 23rd, 2024. Forward by Jon Moxley. Special thank you to Josh Barnett's Bloodsport. And Hayagoku Hall. Layout and design by Michael Watson. And I think, yes, that is it. Okay. Nope. It's on the back of the book, too. Jump scare. 72 by Ryan Loco. So good. Yeah. How's everybody feeling after seeing Jon Moxley like that, if you're new to it? 1 month, 2 cameras. Good to see you. Speaking of, I'm curious to see, I'm sure a video is coming, whatever camera you're trying out. These are such great photos for real. Exactly. They really are. Like, obviously that was fun. Just having a not pro wrestling audience seeing those kind of photos. That was fun for me. So I appreciate it. But obviously, yeah, the photos themselves, like, that's what I was saying at the beginning. Like, Ryan is just super good. And the way the whole book was put together, too, the fact that Mike and Ryan both had hands in this, and they're both just such good dudes, and it's just rad. Super super excited just seeing them doing what they do on such a like big stage. You know what I mean? It's so rad. Um, yeah, exactly. Anytime someone sees a Mox match for the first time, I always go back to the skewers stuck in his head a few years ago. It's like, dude. Um, yeah, Cinestill 800T. Yeah, he definitely mixed or was using some of the Cinestill film for the night stuff in Tokyo. Um, Let me look and see if this book is still available, because honestly, I don't remember if it is. Um, Let me do some digging here. Maybe. There we go. 72 second edition. Okay, so they're doing a second edition. The first edition was of 100 and it sold out. Second edition is going to have a black and white cover, and those pre-orders are, yeah, up now. So pre-order brainbusterinc.bigcartel.com. Here, can I post a link in the chat? Um, Let me try that. Yeah, there's a link in the chat right now to the second edition. So it's going to have a black and white cover instead of the color cover. But all of that goodness inside. So check that out if you're interested. Support those guys. Awesome dudes. And yeah, great work. And the shirts look really rad too. The Mox T it's basically the sticker that I had, but it's on a black t-shirt. That's super sick. Hell yeah. I'm glad you enjoyed that one. Let me get this out of here. All right. Whoops. There we go. How's everybody's week going so far? I think we are going to try to make some prints on the paper from the paper mill, because I printed some color and was honestly shocked at how it turned out. There they are. Speaking of that project, I met with a local printer that they do everything in-house, like downtown, and they can do staple, like saddle stitched zines. So I definitely know that I'm going to be doing some zines that way, like locally. I know that I'm going to use what they offer for some zines. I'm going to see, they don't do perfect bound zines like in-house, but they do offer it. So I'm going to talk to them and just see what that looks like. But being able to find an option for making a zine from the paper mill project and to get something out soon. One of the guys the guy that owns the printing company, he also just helped create this fund for people that are losing their jobs from the paper mill closure. So essentially, anybody from the company that lost their job can just go in and just show their like ID or whatever, and they'll be able to withdraw money from the funds, especially like through the holidays and everything. So that's really rad. So I'm gonna set up a portion of the proceeds from each like zine, every print, every anything, and we're gonna try to just get as much stuff as we can made to try and raise as much money. And he actually has paper from the mill, not this kind of paper, but like actual proper like printing paper, and we're gonna do some prints on that I'm gonna have as well. So I asked him, we're gonna obviously have most of the stuff like aimed towards people in Chillicothe, because I feel like that's who it's really gonna appeal to the most, and that's who it's for. But if people are interested in some of those prints that they do downtown, or the zines, obviously, I'll have stuff on my website as well. But we're going to have plenty of stuff available locally, which I'm excited about. Here it is. I'll show you this one. Let's see. Hey, Matt, strongly considering the Summicron 35 V4 for my MP. Why are you drawn to that lens specifically? It has just an amazing look to it. I don't have the lens anymore. I sold it, I don't remember when. But it's like, if I could only pick one, it would probably be that lens. But it's a lot of money. And whenever I did sell it, I'm sure I wasn't using it that much at the time. Anything I don't really find myself using a bunch, I don't hang on to it. So now I have the Voigtlander 35 f2.5, which is my first lens I ever got for my M6, and I forgot how crazy compact it is. And honestly, like, if I'm only shooting film, I feel like I'm happy enough with that. Even if I were still on the M11, I never used that lens on the M11, but like, it's just a really insanely good value. Like, I got the lens used for $200, so it's a gem. Let me grab it actually, because if you haven't seen that lens in a while, like, it's easy to forget just how compact this little lens is. Come on, there we go. Crazy compact. Obviously, I don't have a lens hood on there or anything. I don't really care to, because I really prefer the size of it without the hood. So this can easily fit in a jacket pocket, like, no questions asked. So that makes just about as small of a camera as I could ask for. You know what I mean? But yeah, this super thin carbon paper, I think is what they called it. But with this photo in particular, I think, with the green and yellow in the machine, love how that one turned out. Why so hard to focus on analog medium format with f2.8? From 15 exposures, I only got one right. By the way, I'm using a waist level viewfinder on Mamiya 645. It's harder to focus on medium format with f2.8 because compared to 35 millimeter film, if that's what you're used to, or just 35 millimeter digital, APS-C, crop sensor, anything like that, the surface area of the negative is bigger than the sensor of the film. So because of that, your depth of field is going to be a lot more shallow at each respective focal length or aperture. So at f2.8 on a 35 millimeter negative, you're going to get more depth of field as opposed to f2.8 on a medium format lens of the same, focal length. So yeah, that's why you would be having more issues, is just because you're dealing with a narrower amount of focus. So you're more likely to miss focus because of that. So slow yourself down. Just take as much time as it needs. If you have a little like pop-up magnifier in the viewfinder, those help a lot. Or if you have a split prism within the focusing screen. But yeah, it's tough. If you're focusing and then like kind of in the middle, let's say you are using a split prism, because you're obviously not using a rangefinder, you're using a Mamiya 645. So because of that, if you're using any kind of split prism in the middle, or any kind of focusing aid like that, if you focus in the middle and then recompose, depending on how much you lean forward or move around, that can also throw the focus off. So, yeah, try to just slow down. And if you're new to it, like coming from 35 millimeter, there is a learning curve with things like that. So, yeah, just try to slow it down and try to be really really cautious with it. Oh, there's a known flaw in Mamiya 645 where the mirror doesn't stop in the right place and it throws focus off. Uh, do you know if that was in a specific model? Um, I had a Mamiya 645 Pro TL, I think was the one I had. Um, and I used it mostly for like portrait work and families and stuff like that, but I never really had any issues with it. I just never liked the 645 format all that much, to be honest. Let me see if I can do this here. What I probably should have done is done this ahead of time and made it to where I could share my screen, but trying to create the scene in OBS, I always want to say OSB, like like the sheets of OSB, but in OBS, trying to create that while streaming, I don't know how good I would be at that. Let's try this one though. Export that. I found out that I need to be using Epson print layout, so that was another issue, or another part of the issue, I guess, where I was having some really weird looking prints coming out of the P900 for the first time, and I didn't know what was going on. Turns out Lightroom, and I also think updating the drivers was another aspect of it too. Okay, 8x10. Let's get this on. Yeah, here's another one. So this is the machine that this paper was printing, or that this paper was made on, and it was photographed at the time that this paper was in that machine. So, kind of wild. All right, let's see if this works. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really like the way the paper, like it's not made for this at all, but I really like the way it looks. Okay, 8x10 plain paper. There are no ICC profiles for this one. See if this works. And it honestly prints pretty fast. Let's do this one too. I'm looking for anything with yellow, because I feel like any yellows or greens, I feel like that's what made that print work really well. Oh, that would be a good one too. So the paper is looking at itself. Yeah, basically. This is the Epson P900. Whoops, got to slide off. All right, so that's it's interesting. The sky having that yellow. I don't know how well you can see the clouds having that same yellowish kind of tint to them. I'm gonna try to have a show here in town, and I think I'm gonna do obviously like traditional prints and make prints with proper photo paper, but I can't not do something with all of these, you know. Let's try this one now. Looks like a Kodak Color Plus to me. So honestly, I'm pretty sure that is the exact profile that I used. I have been testing out this new. Let me see what were those called? I'm trying to think of the name of it, and I'm blanking off. Color Precision. So colorprecision.com, there are some film emulation profiles that I've been testing out. Not that I made or anything, but I'm going to make a video sharing how I've been using them, editing some files and just sharing what I think. So far, though, I think they're the most like natural and not overdone film emulation profiles that I've used. They're not presets, they're like color profiles that you can use in Lightroom. And it's based on tons and tons of different film stocks. And that actually may have been a Color Plus profile that I used on that. I know that that's one of them that I've favorited. Like, it's one that I frequently use because it just has a clean look to it. What's up, Corey? Good to see you. I haven't forgot about you, by the way. I've got notes. I've got notes for you. I'm stoked to talk with you about what you sent over. It was looking great. Hey, Greg, good to see you. Jorge, I print from Epson Print Layout now. So what I was printing on was I was printing through Lightroom, but I've since switched over to Epson Print Layout, and that has solved a lot of my issues with the marks I was getting, essentially all of the streaks. This one has a lot less of a punch to it, but yeah. Yeah, this is all from the mill, from the very last roll. I had no idea you could print from Lightroom. Yeah, if you go up where it says library, and then develop, you've got those two modules, and then you've got all the other ones, map, book, slideshow, print, and web. I've never used Lightroom's book layout thing, though. You know what I mean? Like, I've used InDesign, and I've used whatever the app was that what app was that? I used an app. It's in the video. That's the nice thing about my YouTube channel, is when I can't remember things that I've done, or how I did certain things, I should say, I can just go back and watch my own videos. That's helped me a time or two. My memory is not what it used to be. You have a traumatic brain injury, and that'll happen. I'll have to try it. I keep printing out of Lightroom, and I have a hard time with colors. Yeah, that's I mean that's what I was having issues with. Where actually, let me grab some and I'll show you. So this is a print that I was trying to make. Um, no, Corey, it wasn't Blurb. I can't remember what I used. It was an app on the iPad. But yeah, this is the issues I was getting. The colors were way oversaturated and way off, and I was getting all of these like red horizontal streaks, and it just didn't look right at all. Um, if you calibrate your monitor, Lightroom will also print from the color management profile. That's true too. Yeah. And the weird thing is like I was always using Lightroom for the first, I don't know, 6, 7 months, or no, longer than that. 8, 9, 10 months. Let me think. Yeah. Yeah, I think like 10 months I was using Lightroom and wasn't having any issues, and then all of a sudden this started happening and I couldn't figure out what was going on. So updating the drivers and for the printer, and then using Epson print layout and downloading Epson Media, or Epson, what is it called? Let me look it up here. Yeah, Epson Media Installer. And that's sort of like Epson's software for profile management. So you can download profiles and import things there. But I was getting prints like this, and then the very first test with Epson print layout, and it looked like that. And I was like, oh, okay, so problem solved. It was like first try, just immediately, everything looked great. And before, I was dealing with this for like 2 weeks and couldn't figure out what was going on. So happy to have that resolved. Yeah, yeah. Put them next to each other. I'll lay this one. Like, what are we doing here? you know, I was. That was when I was like, okay, I'm gonna just spend all of my time making cyanotypes and not doing any kind of printing that involves, a computer, because I was just so fed up at that point. Joe Saunders on Instagram, he was also a huge help. He does like he that's part of his job, is like managing printers and things like that on a campus, I believe he said. And so he was giving me ideas on what it could possibly be, and I thought it was going to be something physical on the printer. Like, I was convinced. I was like, I took everything out there, and the barn isn't like fully insulated yet, and I don't have AC running in here yet, and I messed it all up. Like, I thought it was something physical, like the ink, the print head was like crazy clogged or something. I was running so many, not so many, but like I did every single print, or like every single maintenance cycle that you could do twice. So like I was doing everything trying to figure it out, and it ended up just being like a software thing. So I'm not built for IT troubleshooting, My brother has patience for that. My cousin Ryan, he's like our go-to guy with stuff like that. Um, I was ready to take the thing. Not actually, but I wanted to just take it and throw it through a window. You know what I mean? I did a lot of test prints for color profiles when I first got my Pro 10. That's what I used to use, was a Pro 10. But it was worth doing that. Now most of my prints exactly how I want every time. Yeah, if you like, if you know the printer and do all of the necessary work to get things dialed in, and that's what I like. I thought when I got the Epson, I was just like, man, I turned this thing on. I've barely done anything, and it just worked. Like, no issues, no questions. I didn't even do that much like setup work in terms of dialing it in. And then out of nowhere, things happen. So I don't know if it was possibly like I updated my MacBook and maybe that caused the issue and things weren't compatible like they were before. Not really sure. Do you have one of those professional Canon printers that are like $1,100? I don't know what the Pro 10 goes for. That's the one I used to use, but I didn't pay for that one. I got it from my friend Matt Seal. Like, he had it and it was in storage for like years, and he was like, it needs ink for sure. It needs a new maintenance cartridge. I don't even know if it works, but if you want it, you can have it because it's just been sitting in I think it was in his barn for a couple of years. And so I took it and bought all new ink and went through a couple maintenance cartridges. That did take some work to get prints that weren't gunky looking like at first. Like, it took some serious work, and it was making awful sounds when I first started using it, but I got it back to, brought it back to life. And so then when Epson reached out and asked if I wanted to try the P900, I gave that printer back to Matt with all the ink and paper and stuff that I had. And so he's, to my knowledge, he's still using it. But yeah, the Pro 10 is great. Oh, hell yeah. Got lucky with my Pro 10 and got it for $200, and it worked right away. That's a steal for that one. Yeah, the Pro 10, what's the Pro 1000? I think is like the next one up after that. I think Nick Carver has a video on the Pro 1000. I think I remember seeing that's what it was, if I remember right. Shout out Nick Carver. Good dude. Pro 10 was $699 when it first came out. Damn. Yeah. Yeah, the Canon printers, I know, are super popular. Like I said, I never had issues with my Pro 10. Or wait a minute. I had a Pro 10 many years ago. The one that Matt had, maybe the one that Matt let me use was the Pro 1000. Maybe that's the one I'm thinking of, and I don't know what Nick Carver is using, so I take that back. I had that mixed up. The Pro 10 is what I had originally. The Pro 1000 is what I got from Matt, because when I got that from him, I no longer had a printer. I sold my Pro 10 years before that when I just didn't have the space for it at our old house. Damn. I forgot all about that. See, that's what happens. Hitting 35 this year. I'm falling apart. I got my Pro 100 free after rebate, but they make money on ink. Oh, yeah. I think a friend of mine did the same thing. They got their Pro 100 through Midwest Photo when they were running one of those rebates. Yeah, that's a great way to get into it. I've not owned a printer in years, never use it. You should. It's I've used this printer, I mean, especially now since I fixed that issue, I've just been like nonstop, because also the Epson print layout, the black and white, it has like a much more in-depth black and white printing control built into Epson print layout as opposed to just the standard print module in Lightroom. So you can hit like advanced black and white printing or something like that, and you can add toning in there if you want. But just in terms of like controlling all of your values there, and it prints really, really well. I'm trying to think if I have. I know I printed. Yeah, I printed a large black and white. Let me grab that one. here it is. So this is the issue I was getting. Okay, so this is what was happening every single time. You can see all of these lines here. Couldn't figure out what was going on. But the very first black and white print I did after updating the drivers and everything was this one. So going from that to that, and I really don't know how well it's going to come across. Sorry, I'm juggling all of these like massive prints. I don't know how well it will come across on stream, just how rich all of the different values are, but especially the blacks. I would just instantly, I was so excited when this one came out. After dealing with all those issues for a couple of weeks and pulling my hair out, just super, super happy with how that one turned out. So yeah, Epson print layout. If you're using an Epson printer, try that, because I wish I would have been doing that the whole time. Despite like being happy with, you know, most of the results up until that point, it's just a really nice, like the layout of the app itself. It's not like Epson Scan. It doesn't look or feel like it was. I mean, it's not it's not that wild in terms of, you know, UI, but compared to most software, for whatever reason, for like any printer or scanner, it's gotta be locked to like Windows XP at the latest, you know what I mean? But Epson print layout is like pretty clean, and yeah, it works well. So wish I would have been doing that from the jump. My wife made one of our hallways a home gallery for me to print for, and I have fun printing for us. I got the P800 mainly because of the refill refill capability. What's the difference in terms of how that one is filled over the P900? Because I'm not sure. I just refilled all of the ink for the first time. That was another thing that I thought. I was like, maybe all of the ink is just, it's gone bad from the heat or something. And everything was like pretty close to empty anyway. I was just trying to get as much time out of it as I can. But I was like, maybe that's my issue. So I put all brand new ink in there, and that still didn't fix it. So, oh well, got fresh ink in there. The size of the print, the paper itself is 17 by 22. The image itself is probably not quite 11 by 17. I'd say it's a little bit bigger than that. But yeah, 17 by 22 paper. That's the only paper I have left at the moment. I was going to put some prints up on my website, but I need to get some paper first, because right now I just have 17 by 22, and I've been cutting that down to smaller sizes, but I also don't want to cut down my only 17 by 22 sheets, because I want to make some big prints too. So once I do that, once I pick up some more paper, I plan on adding some prints to the shop. So, but yeah, that is probably gonna do it for the prints that I'm gonna make tonight, though. Before I close out the stream, anybody has any questions, anything they want to shoot the shit about before I wrap it up, let me know. Matthew Nobert, what is up? Appreciate you stopping by. I'm not sure if the P900 has the same choices aftermarket. Ah, gotcha. That makes sense. There is a... What is his name? Hold on, I'll find it. Canon. I'll find him. There's a guy on YouTube that I would always go to, and I remember I linked one of his videos in an old video I did years ago. Is it Jose? I can't remember his name. I was trying to find it. Is it Jose Rodriguez? Or is that? It says that's a baseball player. What was his name? I don't know. There's a guy on YouTube that I remember he used to have all kinds of videos comparing different inks that were third-party inks. And I've never tried any, but I remember watching his videos, and he would talk about certain ones and obviously like the cost savings into that. Does anyone remember his name? Yeah. Yep, that guy. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember his name. Jose Rivera? Is that just someone else I'm thinking of, though? I do that all the time where I'll like think of a name and I'm like, no, that's a totally different person. But yeah, that guy, super good resource on YouTube. Anytime I was searching things and troubleshooting, if he had a video on it, that was usually the one I would click on. Do you print on canvas? I haven't. I don't know that this printer could handle canvas. It does offer a lot of different options, but I don't think that this one does. There are the print shop in town that I was talking to about having some of the photos from the paper mill printed. He was showing me this canvas wrap that they do that's like a canvas wrap, but the edge of it, there's a walnut frame around it, and it looked really, really rad, especially I think for a black and white print. I'm typically not big on canvas prints, but that had a different look to it that I really liked. So I might explore that. We'll see. Peter, what paper do you prefer? I honestly, before I used Ilford Gallery Pearl, the fiber paper. I've used that a lot and really liked it. Red River paper. What was there was a paper from Red River that I used to get, Palo Duro Soft Gloss Rag, or Palo Duro. It was something like that from Red River paper that I used to get all of the time, and I really liked it. Red River paper, just in general, they have nice papers. Hahnemühle, there's some nice Hahnemühle papers. I haven't used a ton of it. I've bought some like sample packs and stuff that I've liked, but honestly, like all of this stuff, like this paper here, obviously not the yellow paper from the mill, but like this right here. Where are we at? There we are. Let me put this back on. Maybe. There we go. This is just Epson paper. This is their ultra, what is it called? Ultra premium photo paper luster. I feel like that's sort of just like the default. You know what I mean? Like a luster paper like this, it's not glossy, it's not matte. It's just a good all-purpose paper. This is all Epson, and I've been really, really happy with it. It's not anything like, there isn't anything, think of it like a lens. Do you want a lens that is like clinical, or do you want a lens that has some character to it? Like paper like this, it's just good all-purpose photo paper. There's nothing remarkable about it other than the fact that it's reliable and it works and it looks great. It looks like it's a good quality print. The Hahnemühle paper that I have right now is that William Turner like etching rag. It's got like a heavy texture to it, and that looks really good for some black and white printing. But it's something that like you kind of have to pair it with the right photo, if that makes sense. Like not every texture or every kind of paper is going to work for every kind of photo. except for something like this, like just a luster paper where it's just a good middle ground. That's always a safe bet. So anytime I'm like proofing a bunch of prints, like for instance, the photos from Portsmouth that I recently did a video on, where I just spent the day walking around Portsmouth. I made contact sheets in Lightroom with the digital files and then printed those off on just like standard Epson photo like luster paper, and just used it that way because it's just a good like proofing paper. Any photo is going to work, and you're just going to be able to analyze it well, if that makes sense. You know, it's a just good, reliable one. Daniel, I did get a copy of Josh's new zine. I don't think I've been to the mailbox today. I probably will tonight before I go inside. So unless it's out there, it hasn't come in yet. But we will be taking a look at that one on the stream next week if it's out there. It is Jose Rodriguez. Okay, so I wasn't crazy. I thought that was his name, but then when I Googled it, it just said Jose Rodriguez MLB. And I was like, oh, of course, I just thought his name was Jose Rodriguez. Do you have a rec for at-home photo printer? I really only print up to 11x14 because I don't have a lot of wall space. Yeah, we were talking about them earlier, the Pro 10, Canon Pro 10, Pro 100. I see those getting like rebates pretty often, especially the Pro 100. That's a great entry level. I mean, Epson sent me that P900, but I'm going to be honest with you. I see a lot of those Pro 100s for like pretty cheap with the rebates and everything. So to get started at the very least, I would say look into that. Thanks for hanging, Raph. I just bought all of Red River Pro Luster 300 to try. Oh, hell yeah. I don't know if I've ever tried Red River's Pro Luster, but I'm sure it's great. Like I said, I always loved their paper. Goldfinch, is there a particular light meter you'd recommend? If you don't need a spot meter, I honestly really like the Sekonic L308. It's just like, I think, might be in here. Yeah. This guy right here, small, super compact. Where are we at? Sorry. Bam. High focus beauty product. Here we go. Sekonic L308. It's just nice and simple. It's not one of those meters that is going to do a ton of different things, but it is going to be able to read with a flash. Like this one at least, you can meter for flash. So I like that because any kind of metering that I do, this is going to be the extent of it. You know what I mean? I have used spot meters in the past. Even for black and white, I never found myself using them that often. Like if I'm using a spot meter inside a viewfinder of a camera, that's one thing. I just never found myself, metering that way. HP5 especially, and I'm not shooting like precious sheet film. You know what I mean? So HP5, for the way I meter, it's always worked. But if you need a light meter, I really like the 308X because of how compact it is. The other ones, are nice. What is it? It's the 358. Is that the one? 358. There's like the 508. There's a bunch of them out there. And I've used a lot over the years, or I've tried out a lot over the years. But the 308 has been the one I think that I've used the most because it's just simple. It fits in the pocket. If I remember right, it uses, is it AAA? No, 1 AA battery as well. That's a plus. Cameras and meters that use like the CR123s and things like that, they usually last a really long time. But still, like when they do die, if you don't have a backup, that's a pain because trying to find one of those as opposed to just finding a AA. So Sekonic L308, that would be my recommendation. What's up, Brian? Yeah, you caught the Thursday stream, little rain check stream from last night. I like the Moab. Is it Moab or Moab? let me know. I've never tried their paper, but my friend Stefan Vanasco uses their paper and he loves it. So I've wanted to try that out. That is what I have. The L308 is great. It does everything you need it for, and not a lot of extras. Exactly. Oh yeah, okay. I didn't know that that's what the difference was. Where'd we go? Here we go. For Sekonic, get the X version one if you need aperture priority. Otherwise, get the S version for shutter speed priority only. I didn't realize that. When I got this one, I got it for the price, and I have the 308X, but I didn't have this originally. Like when I had a version of this years ago, I think it was the S, and I never really like paid attention into what would be different about it. So that's good to know. Let's see. Daniel, I thought that the printing of the zine wasn't the best quality. Mine had streaks on it, which was quite distracting while looking at the zine, but I still love the photos. Really? I'll have to look at my copy. Off topic, how was your time talking to Jason, or is that for a future video? He's always struck me as a very humble, cool person who truly enjoys photography. Yes, it was great. Jason is... Jason, I first had him on my podcast like 9 years ago, I think, around 9 years ago. And ever since then, like, he's been on the channel a couple of times before, but I think the last time that we did a video was like 4 years ago. But even then, like, he's someone that will still keep in touch. And when I put out Surveyor, he hit me up and was like, hey, I'd love to buy like 10 copies to stock at the shop at Eagle Rock Camera, which he, when we had our call, he was saying that he wants to get more to stock there because they sold out there, which is awesome. But yeah, Jason's the idea of like someone who just genuinely enjoys photography. That is him to a T. One of the things we talked about was that sort of like keeping that passion for it and never losing that. And he shared a story about like one of his idols in photography, Henry Wessel, and taking away that feeling when he met Henry Wessel and being like, Henry Wessel, having done it for decades and decades and decades, when Jason got to sit down and meet with him, it was like he was talking as if he had just discovered photography and was like still that excited about it. Henry Wessel was in the story. So, but that is very much how Jason is. Super, super nice guy. Yeah, I'm excited for everyone to hear that conversation. It was with him and Tim Carpenter. So the two of them together, I got to interview to talk about their most recent book, Democratic Vistas. And then they're also going to be showing some of that work, I believe, late September or it might actually be late October, at the Fulcrum in Los Angeles. So, yeah, super excited to have that video come out, as well as my video with Matt Eich, who I had a conversation with earlier this summer. I just haven't had a chance to put that out because I've been so like scatterbrained with everything, summer brain. So both of those will be coming out soon, though. Just got home. Thank you for the calming tone of your stream. Traffic was a nightmare. Oh, hell yeah. I'm glad you made it home safe. LA traffic and all, I wouldn't wish it on anybody. What have you been thinking about for the mill project final format? Could be interesting to see what transpires at the mill and staff over the next months, years, and see what story develops. It's a great question, Jeff. That's how I've kind of like, I want to put together a small zine, something that's affordable, accessible to as many people, especially locally. Like I want to make something that's not for the photography audience first and foremost, because that's what this project is for. It's like for those people. So I want to make a zine that is locally printed and lower price so that it's, again, more accessible. Not an everyday person who isn't buying photo books isn't going to be interested in paying $50 for like a nice hardcover, you know what I mean? The kind of stuff I've done with Friend of Mine and Surveyor. That is something that like in the future if I ever wanted to revisit these photos, or like you mentioned, if something transpires with a potential buyer of the paper mill, although I don't know how likely that is, but like, again, you never know. You never know what the effects of this are going to be and like how that's going to take form physically, if that makes sense. And so I'm leaving that aspect of it very open for now. I want to make something now that is something people can like physically have and hold on to in the time that we're in right now. If that, like, I want to make something soon because this is relevant to people right now. And a lot of people have been reaching out like, hey, I want to get prints for so-and-so. I'd like to buy this for my, any relatives, friends who have worked there. And so I'm trying to figure out what that is going to look like, but it's going to be much more of a zine type of thing for that reason. But then in the future, if I want to revisit things and make something that's more for the photographer audience, I guess, then I'll do that. But I don't know. I'm excited to make something more accessible and just something not as precious in a way. I've been wanting to make a new zine for a while now, and with this and other ideas, yeah, I'm excited, especially after talking with the local printer. It feels like there's a really good opportunity to be able to have like a frequent outlet of a zine format where someone locally can print them here in town fast, and I can have I don't know, like not a hand in the process, like I'm the one printing it, but just being able to actually see things and like, I don't know, I'm excited to explore that more. Moab, it is pronounced Moab. Hell yeah, appreciate that, Peter. Jason cruises around in his big old car taking pictures. There's a video of it on YouTube. Such a cool vibe. Yeah. I think that was an Ilford series. They did one with like him, Ray Barbie. I think they did one with Ray. Pretty sure that was Ilford. It's a good one though. What's up, Great Vanzini? Chris, what's up, dude? More zines, love that. Yeah, I want to have another thing we talked about in that conversation was sort of like not being too precious with your pictures, and that's something that I want to have an outlet for all of the pictures that are literally just never going to be seen. You know what I mean? Not to just throw anything at the wall and not have any like quality control, but there's so many photos that I am happy with that I've never done anything with. I've never even printed, probably. You know what I mean? So I want to have an outlet for that, and also seeing what they're capable of at the printing place in town. I really want to make like a magazine, like a recurring quarterly magazine that isn't just me, not a photo zine, but like a skate magazine, but about photography, and with like interviews, with like guest articles, spotlights on specific people, submission section where like there's a whole section of it that's just submitted work that people send in. Seeing like that there's a place in town 10 minutes, 15 minutes from here that does all of that, or that can do all of that, I'm like, now I've got no excuse not to, you know what I mean? And so I want to make something like that that's quarterly, where I can have an outlet to not just share thoughts as well in written form and not just verbally in a video, but also like collaborating with other people. And I don't know, I feel like that is what I really want to do. And I originally had an idea for like Pretty Pictures to be the like umbrella name for my own little publications, like volume 1, it's a collection of these pictures in volume 2, you know, and just having something like that. And now I'm wondering if that should be the name of an actual like magazine that's not just my own work. I don't know. I'm kicking ideas around now, but once that idea came out, I was like, maybe that's it, and that it fits more for the magazine feel as opposed to my own little zines or collections of photos. I don't know. Kicking ideas around. Print quality isn't amazing, but newspaper zines have a cool look and pretty affordable. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Like, I like stuff like that too. That's what I like about zines is the freedom and the lack of like. I mean, not that there are rules with photo books, but when the investment isn't as much, I would feel better about taking certain liberties with like the paper material and like obviously the print quality. You want it to look good, but you know, if a zine is like $15, the price that you would pay for what some people consider as good might not be possible. You know what I mean? So it's you have to find that balance, but yeah, I don't know. Like I've enjoyed I'm glad I've made Surveyor and Friend of Mine the way that I made them, but there's a part of me that's also like, not that I wouldn't want to do that again, but I think it's just because those were the last two things I made, and I'm like, all right, I want to make something that's not as precious and just something that's more accessible, more affordable for people, and smaller runs as well. I don't know, just I've been wanting to get back to it. Oh hell yeah, yeah. Going to Kinko's. I my first zine I made was printed at the Office Max in Chillicothe. It's not there anymore. Definitely want to print more of my photography out. You should. Everybody should. I keep thinking of an online zine or something. On the other hand, I'm a newbie to zines at age 73, having a clue what I'm talking about. You're still here. You're part of the party. You're showing up. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, honestly, where I just saw it, yeah. Anybody else here have Herbie Pabst? Anybody else got a copy? Herbie's on YouTube, and I don't know how old Herbie is, but he's been around the block, and he made a zine. He's got a YouTube channel. I saw he made a zine, and I was like, hell yeah, instantly bought one. This was Herbie's first zine, and I don't like again. I don't know when, or I don't know how old he is, but he's got the same hair color my dad had. I'll say that. Says, since July 20th, 1953, I've walked many steps, traveled many miles, and seen many things. Well, there you go. 53. Random shots from New Jersey. That's again, that's what I love about zines. Like, there are so many different zines that if I see any zine online that looks interesting, you know, if I can, obviously, but like most of the time, zines are relatively affordable, and it's like I love being able to one support smaller independent people that way, but also like take a chance on something, even if it's not necessarily the photography that I'm normally interested in or something. Like this one, honestly, like I was just like, it's rad that this dude is making a zine. Again, like talking about the age thing, like I was stoked on that he was making something just because he could, you know what I mean? And so sometimes that's the aspect of like buying a zine, and it's supporting independent artists. You know what I mean? Um, but then the cost aspect of it, yeah, it's nice to be able to not feel like I have to budget out my photo book spending. You know what I mean? I did just order 2 books because I didn't want to miss out on them. Um, Ian Bates' The Weight of Ash and Lisa Sorgini, I think is how you pronounce it. I think it's called In Passing. Those I ordered from Baltimore Photo Space, so as soon as they'll be in, we'll look at those on stream together. But other than that, I haven't bought many books. I've been selling books like crazy. If anyone is interested in any books, let me know. Shoot me an email. But yeah, those were 2 books that I couldn't miss out on. But yeah, being able to just pick up a zine on a whim is nice. You know what I mean? So. Oh, that's rad. Daniel, a magazine cover with one of the gel plate prints. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Is like I want to be able to have an outlet for stuff like that. An outlet for my gel plate prints, cyanotypes, all of that stuff. Oh, 3:20 a.m. here in the UK. Can't sleep. Just seen you were streaming. Well, you're probably gonna have to catch the replay here shortly. Death by Stereo. You caught me at the tail end of it, but I appreciate you. Uh, Sean Harmon. I'm looking for some Eggleston, Webb, etc. I think I have an Alex Webb book. Mm, no, I sold that one. I did have an Alex Webb book, and I don't have any Eggleston. Um, I don't think so. No, I don't. Um, but if you think of any other ones that you're looking for, Sean, let me know. I just photographed Death by Stereo on their tour they just wrapped up. Hell yeah. Chris, you've been working lately, right? Been busy? Seems like it anyway. It's got to feel good. I've been getting back to it lately, and it's like I feel like I'm going back in time like 10 years in a way. Yeah, that's right, Gregory. Gregory bought the Alex Webb. I was like, I knew someone bought it. I couldn't remember who. Crutzen is from the town over. Been meaning to pick up his more recent. I've never had any Gregory Crutzen books either. That's another one that I see his work and I'm like, that looks great. But for whatever reason, it's never been a book I've picked up. Um, I do still have the Mary Ellen box set. I don't want to sell the Book of Everything by Mary Ellen Mark because it's really good, but at the same time, it has gone up in value crazy, like crazy amount. And honestly, like it's one of those things that, yeah, they're great books, and for a diehard like collector, I get it, but I mean, I've bought a lot of books. You could say I've collected a lot of books, but um, I'm not necessarily a collector in the sense of like, you know, having a complete whatever. Every book has a price, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Maybe that's it. When you have 3 kids, there is no photo book that is priceless. Been thrifting old bookstores for Frank's The Americans, but no luck. You can get lucky at some old thrift bookstores, some half price books. Uh, Keep at it because you can find some gems. Magnum Street Style. No, I have the only Magnum specific book I have is Contact Sheets, and yeah, yeah, that's it. Oh wow, I worked the ward. Mary Ellen's photos, Ward 83. I was assigned to 82. That's wild. Uh, Ward 83. is, was that ever made into a designated book? I think it was. I think me and Paulie talked. I think he's the one who was telling me about that book. Because Paulie has asked me about the book of everything a couple of times, because that's like his all-time favorite photographer. Oh, Streetwise. I have the Mary Ellen Mark Streetwise Revisited, but if that's a Magnum book as well, I don't have that one. I had to go to Baltimore for family and was sad to find out BPS is only open on Saturdays. Yeah, that's a bummer. I know their hours have like changed over time, but oh, there's a Magnum book. Okay, yeah, I don't have that one. I bought Eggleston most recent book release, Mystery of the Ordinary. That shot up in value. Yeah, some books you never know. I did not think I didn't buy the Mary Ellen Mark book with that in mind, but it was like, it seemed like almost instantly, once it was printed, it sold out, and then it just instantly skyrocketed. All right, I'm spilling my Pepsi on myself now, or my Coke Zero. That's got to be a wrap. Planning Japan trip next year, deep diving into Daido Moriyama. Any other recommendations? For Japan, I honestly don't have enough knowledge of Japan photography, or photography done in Japan, I guess. No, none of that either, Sean. I'm striking out with all of your all of your requests at the moment. Says a lot about our time, but X library copies of hard to find stuff has been popping up pretty frequently lately. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. All right. Well, how do you decide what? Oh, Janina, what's up? All right, I'm not cutting off yet. Janina's here. Janina was editing with me for a while a couple of years ago. Janina's awesome. How do you decide what to shoot in film and what to shoot digital? This is actually something that I've like been wrestling with more recently, because now that I got a 35 for my M6 again, I've been carrying it more. But I've also been enjoying using the Nikon Z8, and I think because the possibility of seeing something locally that could be attributed to the paper mill project, I find myself wanting to bring my Z8, because everything I've shot so far for that project has been with the Z8, and I don't want to see something and only get it on 35 millimeter film. And we talked about this earlier, like whether you use digital or film. We were looking at a book that people mix the two. So I'm not against that personally when I'm looking at work, but I know myself enough to know that it would bother me if I saw something and all I brought that day was the M6 and HP5. I would be furious with myself, being like, why was it too difficult to also just carry the Z8 and just bring that with you? You know what I mean? It would drive me nuts if I saw something, especially if the color was like too good to pass up. You know what I mean? So because of that, I've been carrying things. I've been carrying both cameras in my camera bag. When I see something and I'm trying to decide what I want to shoot, like immediately the first thing I'm thinking of is, am I seeing this? Do I want this in color or black and white? If I want it in black and white, I'm most likely going to be more likely to shoot it on film if I know specifically that I want it to be black and white. However, if the color's even remotely a possibility and something that I would consider, lately I feel like I would be more likely to shoot it on my Z8. So it's really about the color for me. I think that's like what the determining factor is. If it's a really low light situation or tricky lighting, mixed lighting situation, that's another reason that I would be more likely to use digital over film. But if it's photos of my family and it's just like photos of life and it's just for my own record, I guess, then I don't mind if it's all black and white film, if that makes sense. I wondered if you know of a good archival materials supplier. Archival materials supplier. What sort of archival materials are you talking about? Because I don't know of anything off the top of my head, but I also don't know if I understand what you mean. Oh, gotcha. Ward 81. What 35 do you have for the M6 now? I've got the Voigtlander 35 f2.5, the color scope R. Hold on. Focus for me one more time. Nope, not that button. There it is. The 2.5 color scope R. This was the very first lens I ever got for my M6, and it feels nice to have it back because of how compact it is. I'm not sure what 35 I want for my M6. Currently, I just have the color scope R. Hell yeah. We're brothers. I wish I didn't hate all the weird Z8 shutter sounds. That's one thing that a lot of people... Where is my Z8? I think it's in here. That's something that a lot of people always talk about. I'll play the one that I've got. Because the Z8 has no mechanical shutter, so you have to have, if you want to hear anything, which for me I do because I want that audible signal that I did shoot a photo. And I don't have it very loud, but let's see here. Is that even registering at all? It's very quiet, but that's the sound that I have selected. I think someone once on stream was like, I wish I could import my own my own shutter speed sound into that camera. But I get it. Like when I used the Z6 III, the first time I used it, I was like, oh, that mechanical shutter, like I didn't realize how apparent it is that it's not there. Like I had gotten used to it. If that's making sense, I'd gotten so used to not hearing it that when I used the Z6 III, I was like, oh my God, that's wild. But as much as I've always loved the distinct shutter sounds of each camera. The M6, the Hasselblad 500CM, the Pentax 6.7, the RZ 6.7. Like there are so many cameras that have distinct sounds to them, and I love that. But the lack of sound in the Z8 has not bothered me at all. Like I thought it would. I thought that would mess with me. Chris says the zero blackout messes with me, makes me question if I took the photo. See, like just the little quick snap of almost the frame lines. Here, we can do it this way. If you see just the little... what's popping up there on the sides. Just that little cue, that alone, I never I don't know. I got so used to that viewfinder so quickly, and it just surprises me because usually that kind of stuff bothers me, and I'm usually a stickler about those kind of things. But yeah, I don't know. It's been great. Yeah, I honestly thought the same thing with it's just a nice little click sound. That shutter sound is. Although it is fully artificial. So but that is going to do it for tonight. I appreciate y'all stopping in for the Thursday night live stream as opposed to the Wednesday night. We'll be back at it next Wednesday on our regular schedule. And yeah. Hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Neil, are you using auto white balance most of the time? For photo, yeah. Either Kelvin, either just dialing it in Kelvin or auto white balance. But for video, I always dial it in on the Kelvin. because I'm not shooting raw. So I don't want to bake that white balance in. But for photos and shooting raw, I usually leave it on auto or just dial it in on the Kelvin if I'm like in one particular spot for an extended period of time. But yeah, thanks for hanging, everybody. I hope you all enjoy the rest of your week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week. Love you guys.